I'm Dana Han-Klein here with Nick Park, Will Becher, and Merlin Crossingham for Early Man.
I'd love to know which character you admire the most and why.
I like Nooth quite a lot, just because he's so bad, and but bad because he's a buffoon and silly, and he's not sort of evil bad. He's just kind of funny bad, and I think it's a really nice take on a villain that we've created here. And I do like Hognob as well, but I think if one was to stand out, it'd be Nooth.
I will choose Hognob because I have a certain bias.
I wonder why.
No, I like them all, but because they all should. If you don't love them all, even the villain. But I play the part of Hognob, and I have a certain affection for him.
Yeah.
And I love the way he's bouncy, like a puppy dog, really. But sometimes it's a bit smart as well.
And I think I'm going to say Doug in this case. He's just got so much, enthusiasm for life and for exploring, and he's just a wonderfully sort of open-minded character.
One thing I think of when I think of Aardman is appeal. And if you were a new animator starting out at Aardman, is there something that you guys kind of say to them that like, hey, this is sort of how we get this appealing style across? Or is it something you look for animators who already have that sense of, like, inherent sense of charm?
There's no kind of charm school, really, is there?
Be British.
It is. I think it's to do with, we've all worked extensively on Wallace and Gromit. We've all had a lot of experience of how to animate Gromit, and just the very discovery of his character was all to do with him being made of clay, and the way you can move the brow, just to get human observation and very small nuances. And I think a lot of it, sometimes just a well-observed look, is a real winner above doing massive kind of exuberant animation.
Yeah.
Because people kind of hone in on that and recognise themselves in it.
And some animators just get it, and some it takes them years, and some never do. And everything in between. And it's to get this style of animation down. It's really quite tricky because a lot of the stuff that looks best is when the characters aren't actually moving much, and for an animator that's really difficult because animators often want to just move stuff. Yeah, so sometimes it's just a case of, no, just calm down, just find out what is the essence of it and make it that.
And just on a technical note, we had this really early meeting, I remember, with Nick, where we spent an hour just looking through some of those really early films, and actually the animation team just loved hearing the stories of how you made the decisions to move things a certain way. So we had a little taste of a sort of how this style developed.
Would you rather live in the Bronze City or the sort of caveman wilderness?
I think that's tricky because the
Bronze
world is
they've got sliced bread and everything.
Because if you
It's
would
the best thing since.
if you would rather live in the Bronze world, then the movie hasn't worked very well. Because it's all about them wanting their valley back. But it is. I mean, Doug is a wide-eyed guy full of ideas, and he's attracted by the new things, and the Bronze world does represent the world of the future and technology, I guess, and money. So. Yeah.
Aardman films have a lot of birds in them. What's up with that?
Oh yeah.
You guys love your birds?
Yeah, and they've all got teeth.
They all have teeth.
Yeah.
Birds generally do not.
Yeah.
They're funny.
Yeah.
They are.
They just walk funny, and they're just funny, aren't they? And I think that's at the root of it, really.
In this case, that bird is actually serving a purpose because we had to keep the main queen quite far away from the villain for a while, so this bird is part of that.
We've got two major birds in this one.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. I can't even see that as a bird. I mean, it's a giant, sort of terrifying.
That's true. Yeah, it was quite easy to write this, for Mark Burton and myself to write in. There now appears a giant man-eating mallard. Quite another thing executing that on screen. He was built this big?
Yeah, so big we couldn't actually build the whole thing. We had to build pieces.
Yeah.
Were there any bits that in the original story that you just went like, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to do it anyway?
I don't think that holds you back, does it?
No.
No.
No. The key is to not be too limited by what's possible. And just look at the animators' faces when, when they see the script, and oh, you want a what?
A lot of people questioned that giant man-eating mallard all the way along, but actually it was. I think it was pretty clear it was always going to be in the film,
and it was a challenge. Yeah, it's fair to say on every level, bringing that character into the movie, but worth it.
It's animation, so everything's possible. It has to be.
Actually, in the original script, there was also man-eating sheep as well, carnivorous sheep. That those we had to decide ducks, sheep. It came down to that, really.
What's some of the best advice you've ever received?
Don't go into animation.
I got a letter from Steve Box, who worked with Nick on Were-Rabbit when I was quite young, and he said, "There's nothing better to learn than just practice. You just have to keep practicing."
Have fun making mistakes. Yeah, and don't eat yellow snow.
That's sound advice. What inspires you?
Yeah,
this was greatly inspired by the work of Ray Harryhouse, and particularly 1 million years BC. In the opening of the film, the prologue, there is a very big reference and a nod to.
That was my favorite Easter egg from the start.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. No, we even named the two dinosaurs Ray and Harry.
Who was your favorite fictional hero or heroine growing up?
For me, it was Tintin. I think I just really never really read very much, but I loved the Tintin books, and I got lost in them.
And Merlin always looks a bit like Tintin. Yeah.
He used to look a lot more like Tintin.
He did. I've grown up with it, and I don't have a shaved head anymore. Yeah.
What would you say the most frustrating part of the process is?
Well, do you want to go first?
Well, it's such a feature film is such a long journey and a long haul project, and working with so many characters, and I mean a wonderful team as the guys are talking about of animators and model makers, but it all just takes so long, and it's hard to. We've written jokes, and it's 4 or 5 years before you see those jokes actually executed on screen.
It's a really hard job to communicate everything effectively to so many different creative people, and I think sometimes it's frustrating for those on the receiving end when we're seeing something that's taken a while but isn't quite right for the film, and sometimes we have to ask people to do things again, which is frustrating for them and difficult for us. But on the whole, it's a very positive environment, so everyone's aiming to do the best.
If you were a plasticine puppet, who would you want voicing you?
I'd go for Eddie Redmayne.
It's good.
He's just so wonderful.
I'd want the voice of Asbo, who is, he's full of just unbridled kind of passion. Johnny Vegas, who gave him his voice, is a British comedian. It's just, it's like you can't harness his energy. He's kind of exploding to have, just to do whatever's going, and huge enthusiasm. So I think I'd have Asbo's voice.
Okay, I'll go for Tom Hiddleston. Because he's suave, sophisticated.
Does a good French accent.
But he can do anyone. He's an incredibly good mimic, and he does French, does anything you like. But he's very good at Donald Trump, British politicians.
Cool. Thank you guys so much. Congrats on the film.
Thank you.